Yeah,
Oh.
he starts and he talks to the YouTube people, and then he
Oh
says,
yeah, gotcha.
I forget too. I'm always like, we didn't hit record. It's like,
You're listening to the MLS Fantasy Insider, bringing you weekly
It's
tips,
not my job anymore,
tricks,
and
I'm
and
new.
advice for the
Oh,
official
sure.
MLS
just
Fantasy
to fill
game.
in.
Indeed. I have a feeling Tyler's just going to lose his mind with my yellow card watch list.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the MLS Fantasy
Thanks a
Insider with special talk over intro this week. So
Yeah, we're sorry.
it's all good. It's all fun. So just getting everything ready with the social right now. Let's see here. Round 18. DGW round 18. Excuse me. So publish. I need to get a new splash screen for the YouTube. I feel like it's too busy, and I see other people that I follow, other creators. I'm like, oh, their little thumbnails are a lot better. So I need to work on that. So if anybody has any tips or suggestions, open to that.
I'll think of something. It'll probably have my face on it.
Well, we can rotate having our faces on there for who's there. All right. Out there on social and the Discord, heading over to the Twitters, the Twitter X's, getting all that stuff. Post right there, retweeting on Fantasy Insider. And all right, there are the social out, so please do be so kind and like and share those, retweet that, re-X that, and so it'll be super appreciated if you do. That helps us just get the visibility out there for those who are interested in this MLS fantasy project that we have going on. But of course, most important of all,
recording in progress.
there we go.
There it
Recording in progress. That's right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Yes, hot mic. That was. I just let it go. Like they were talking, it was on. I was like, this will be fun. A fun little treat for those who have joined earlier, those who watch this later on. So thanks for joining us. This is a big double game week that we have coming up. So glad you're here. If this is the first time you are joining us, please do like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're listening to the podcast, you won't hear this message because I'll just edit it out. So I won't do that there. Christian, hands up.
They're telling you that
Oh,
Ashley and my pictures are switched.
Are they? Oh, snap. Let
like
me
a
go
good
fix
beard,
that.
they said.
Let me go fix that real quick. So they are. You guys just joined in a different order, so it just automatically did that. So, behind the scene bloopers. There we go.
Oh, shucks.
It's a little janky with the centering, but sunk. That's a little better. There we go. All right.
This
thank you.
beard's got nothing on
Blaine?
Blaine.
Yeah, no one does.
This is like a baby beard.
He's like a hermit now,
Yeah.
so we don't know what happens to. But
Yeah, we don't know.
Just so you all know, Blaine has been invited back, but he just goes like he pops in, he makes some sort of random comment about soccer, and I'm like, cool, Blaine, you want to come on the show next week? And then, and he's gone. So he's got stuff going on. That's cool. We knew that last year was kind of his swan song anyway, so this is Blaine, just host emeritus at this point with the list of others who, with hope, will have to get some people back on the show during some of the break programming that we have. But new haircut for Christian. I don't know. I think it's the button-up
I think
shirt.
they meant.
Oh,
No,
Ashley,
Do I see the
my
hat head?
hair.
There we go.
No. I was going to say, before his haircut, Chris and I had kind of similar hair.
I need to get a haircut. I got vacation coming up in a few weeks, so I'll get a haircut before
terrible.
vacation. So we'll have that. Which, when I am on vacation, you guys will probably be treated to another Discord live session. So
When is that?
like the first full week of July. So
Okay.
we'll see. We'll get things. I'll
I
send
just
you
need to
guys the
start
links.
the mental preparation.
Yeah. No, you guys will be fine. I don't know if it's a double game week or not, but we'll see what happens. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We are going to get started right now. Hello and welcome to the MLS Fantasy Insider, our preview of Double Game Week Round 18 of the 2024 MLS Fantasy season. This episode is brought to you by 9-Minute Hat Tricks. Hooah! Brought to you by the amazing MLS Fantasy Insider Patreon supporters. It's because of you that we are able to keep this project going. Find out more over at patreon.com/MLSFI. I'm your host, Reed Connolly from MLSFantasyBoss.com, and tonight I'm joined by my partner in fantasy, Ashley Savage. We'd also like to welcome our special guest, Christian Ward, a.k.a. Crossword.
That's not how it's...
It just came out there from the MLS Fantasy Boss Discord.
That
Admin extraordinaire.
feels...
Crossword.
What?
It's not it.
That's not it. Now
it's
you're
never
just...
been cross.
Now you're just doubling
X-Ward.
I have been cross, but
X-Ward.
yeah. It's like Xmas. Because my first name's Christian.
That's right. Crossword.
It's
Get it?
That's right.
just
Crossword.
It's obscure. It's a stretch. I know, and whatever. Call me Crossword. I don't care.
Now he's going to change it. He's going to get all self-conscious. And all of a sudden, everyone's going to be like, who's this new tag? And it's going to be self-conscious Christian.
No.
I knew what it was. I would never say it like that.
I knew what it was. I just thought it'd be fun to say it that way. So, like and subscribe. Link, comment in the comments below. Let's hear what you guys want to think.
Pun.
Yeah,
That's a good pun.
Yeah, we'll see what happens right there. But welcome everyone to the show tonight. We've got a big fun one. I hope last week was a good result for you. I know that. Had some last minute changes. It was a fun round, but we're looking forward to talking about it. But this week is a double game week, so be sure you are on top of all of that. Games will be starting on Wednesday. We're going to mention that multiple times tonight, but it's at the top right here just to make sure it is out there so that you can't say we did not prepare you for or try to prepare you for what is coming up. So let's start, as always, with just a quick little recap of some of the fantasy takeaways and just important fantasy moments that we felt happened in this last round, as well as a quick little score recap. So, Christian, how'd you do?
Well, let's see. I did. I don't know. I was somewhat disappointed. I had 110 points. Ended on week rank, round rank, 286. And I dropped from overall rank 8 to 10. You never want to go backwards, but whatever, it happens. I preemptively capped Chicho to avoid Pooch stress because at that time I didn't want, I was like, well, Chicho's probably going to be having a good game anyway, so I don't want to mess around with Pooch. So I just did that. And it just kind of grew in my head that was the right choice, you know how that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, my bench hit big time for 45 points. I had Gold, Buanga, and Insigne. Hell of a bench. It was really great. And also on top of that, when I had Gavron on my bench and he conceded early, thank God. So I pivoted to Paz, who ended up on 9 points with a clean sheet. So that was a good turn of events. And so I was feeling pretty lucky and everything was going pretty great until, and I actually literally reached overall 1. Okay. For 2 hours, I was OR1. Okay. And then the last slate of games kicked off. and it all went sideways because Lucho, whom I didn't captain and everybody else captained, got 16 points, and Espinoza and Chicho got 6. Espinoza, whom I faded for because I was clever, I faded him for Diego Fagundes because Fagundes was playing at the 10 position. And he's often one of the best players on that pitch for LA Galaxy when he's actually playing. So I thought, geez, he's going to be on all the sets because Pooj is out. And, holy cow, this is like a hidden gem here. I'm not only going to take him, I'm going to convince all my friends to take him too. So I did.
Brought us all down.
And he decided to puke evil all over my fantasy rank.
Yeah.
So one would think that I'd be kind of salty about that, and I was for a while, but then I thought, well, geez, I'm still top 10, barely, and that's never a bad thing. So I'm not that mad about it. Well, I'm more mad about the fact that I gained 30 points to reach OR1 and then just promptly lost them all. ugh, it was like being at the casino. It really sucked.
Sure.
Um, Players who impressed. Well, clearly Lucho and Espinosa impressed. But I just want to shout out to Ryan Gauld, who's absolutely on fire. He is
Big
just
time.
he's like, it doesn't matter if he's home or away. He seems to like have decided to start playing soccer,
Hmm.
and it usually takes him a while to warm up every season, and people don't realize this. He didn't turn on until like week 11 last season,
Yep.
and then he was just stellar for the rest of the season. And that's just his MO. He's like Harry Kane or something. Um, those people from the UK, Anyway,
Hmm.
thoughts. Never, ever, ever, under any circumstance, pick Diego Fagundes for your fantasy team. He has achieved TD Ortiz status and should be avoided at all costs. That's my only thought.
Yeah, it's a good thought. I had it too.
Yeah. That's an inside joke, by the way. The TD Ortiz thing.
Who's TD Ortiz?
Remember when I went on the pod here and like
It's
just
baseball.
hyped up
It's
TD
baseball
Ortiz?
joke.
I know.
No.
Big Poppy? His name's not TT.
No, well, no. TT Ortiz played for Charlotte FC. It was a new signing. He came out
Yes.
and
Yeah.
was hauled the first game he played. He was
Yes.
just like amazing. He got like 2 goals and an assist or something.
Yep.
And I came on the pod the very next day and said, "You guys got to get TD Ortiz. He's just amazing. He passes all the eye tests I could possibly throw at him."
I am remembering this so well.
And then he scored like a 1.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
haven't
Never
let
seen him
down
since. Yeah.
Yeah, he just vaporized.
Ashley.
I had a weird week. I think we all kind of have one of those rounds where you're not accessible. So I didn't set it and forget it, but I wasn't as kind of tuned in as I could have been because we had stuff to do during the day, and then we were at the Sounders game at night with family. I had a 107, which I didn't have as negative a feeling about it as Christian. I felt like I chose some people wrong for sure, but 107 seemed okay. It kept me overall 25. I didn't tinker, and this was a thoughtful choice. I didn't tinker away my Charlotte defense, even though Christian Benteke was starting. I felt more confident in their home form than I did in his. And I mean, it barely paid off, but it definitely did. And it was mostly just because I couldn't deal with trying to think of who to replace them with, if that makes sense. I did tinker in Tolkien literally as lineups locked as my bench keeper. I had doubled up on Charlotte defense, so I had tripled up. I'd pulled the full triple stack, which is a thing I always say I'll never do. And because Benteke was starting, the only thing I did change is instead of having a second Charlotte defender on my bench, I turned that player into Tolkien, which was almost a like for like, but still, hey, it was a good last minute add to get some points out of that game. I was pro Denis Bouanga. I was going back and forth between he and Insigne, which also ended up being a bit of a wash. So it was good to see him hit, but just like Christian pointed out about him, my midfield besides Lucho was just an absolute bust. Amada on my bench, Mihalovic doing nothing, Cole Bassett doing everything instead. Heal with an 8, I guess. And then, like I said, we were pretty busy and disengaged, and I trust Christian with most things in life. And I trusted him because I wanted to know. I was going to stick with Jovic, so I wasn't going to mess with anything up there. There was a lot of conversation about picking up a Cincy striker and then doing something different. So I just threw Diego Fagundes on too. He's hit before. He's not the worst fantasy player. He just hasn't been relevant in many, a good 3 or 4 seasons. So I liked the positioning of it. It made sense. My fallback to that was Christian Espinosa. So I did kind of regret that a lot, but I wasn't in the space where I could make my own decision. So I listened to someone else. who like I said, I trust more than I trust myself most times. So we both got burned together, which I think made it a little better. Wouldn't you say, Christian?
Yeah,
If you go down, I'm going down too. Uh,
yeah,
and then I also, hung hard on my Jovic. Anyone who listens knows that that's kind of where I've tended to line up. Um, Instead of Peck, I just haven't always found him to be consistent. But man, he proved me wrong this week, and I know a lot of people put him in instead. Jovic still got 10, which is not, terrible, but it wasn't the best points of the round. So just a couple of choices that I felt like, I missed out on more points, but I can't be, super pissed off at a 107. I was also really impressed by Espinoza and Gald this week. Peck also with a really good point production, his biggest of the season. And then Cucho on the road for me was impressive. I didn't really want to touch that first game. The only players I'd considered were Cucho and Santi Rodriguez, both who hit quite well, but I just couldn't pull the trigger on that. So I was impressed with his road form, especially after being out for a while. And yeah, that's generally where I landed. I did what Christian indicated in his notes, which was I just switched my captain to Lucho when Ricky Puig wasn't starting. I will say though, we can sit here now and I'll say, oh, it worked out, but he only had like 4 points for a significant portion of the game until all the Kubo goals, which is where he got all of his assists. The Lucho captain was not panning out until what, minute like 65 or something, I think.
yeah.
So obviously it
I was
did.
not.
Yeah.
I was really flying high until then.
Until that hit. Yeah.
I'm like, well, I think Espinoza scored first.
Yeah, he did. Correct.
And then I'm like, okay, I can weather that. But then Lucho just went off, and I'm like,
yeah,
what is happening?
yeah.
Oh, I got punked. I got punked.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple times this season, and I'm, the Red Bull clean sheet is one I'll reference as well, where going safe really screws you. It's taking the gamble and seeing what could ride that has been working better this season. So yeah, Reed, what'd you do?
Fantasy giveth, fantasy taketh away. I did pretty well. I had a 112 on the week, 225 week rank, 86th overall, so in the top 100. Did climb some in my overall rank, so pretty pleased with that. With that, still had a mixed bag with my head-to-heads. Lost one of my games, 212 to 215 right there, and then I lost one, 212 to 218. Both of those in various leagues for the MLS Fantasy Boss promotion relegation or MLSFI promotion relegation pyramid right there. So, but a lot of good matchups with the rest of my head-to-heads down at the hosts invitational as well. One there, still number 2 overall there, right behind Skylar. So that was good. As far as who hit very light in midfield, I had kind of a rough time in midfield, but very much like Christian, I had 38 points come off of my bench. So that was every one of my bench players came in. So when I got the news that Pooch wasn't playing, I was like, oh, that's no problem. I just left him in to be a scrub since he was not there at all. So I was able to get Insigne, Malanda, Tolkien, and Kalina all in off of my bench. Just had double buy players there, and I brought in 3 Portland players to facilitate that there in my defensive unit. So that worked out. The Acosta captain was great. When I was also in the chat when we were talking about the Fagundes switch, and the way I looked at it was I was thinking about using Pooch as, like I said, the switch as my scrub player, and just based on how forwards had been doing this year, I knew I wanted some LA Galaxy coverage for that game, and I thought, you know what, I'd rather just go with a Jovic or a Peck up front and just not worry about that spot. So that's what I ended up doing. And I was on the fence with Jovic and Peck, and I ended up going with Peck at the end, and so that did come out a little bit more in my advance. But yeah, I also had Jordy and I also had Almada on there. That's the one that that really got me. I was pretty satisfied with picking Mihailovic throughout the week, and so definitely Bassett did better. But that was one I was always going to do. It was that Almada one that was on the bubble for me, and so I didn't think about Espinoza, so I'm not feeling bad about that one. But I thought about Gall and I thought about Gomez and some of those other ones, and so the 4 points from Almada just meh. Very, very much not happy with that one pick. But the Acosta captain overall, very, very happy with my bench because that's really what came through for me. And pivoting to Acosta, that was a great thing. As far as takeaways, not much to add to you guys. I of course watched that San Jose Cincinnati game. So Kubo, just don't pick him up because he's not going to go and get those crazy. Just get that right now. Just don't go pick him up. I mean, you may get a goal out of it, but the guy just plays wherever is needed, and I'm going to bet he's going to be needed on defense coming up. So we're going to see what's happening there. But I was super impressed not just with Espinoza, but also with Lopez during that game. I mean, that was definitely a lot of pressure that kept getting put on Cincinnati, and those two guys were right there in the mix of it. So definitely a lot of quality there to consider in the right matchups. And Cucho strong on the road. I mean, that's what we were looking at. We talked a lot about some of those third forwards last week, and I know Pancake was mentioning Jesus and got a goal. So got a goal, but several of the other. Oh,
that's right. I have to actually publicly congratulate him because I said that.
We all should.
I mean,
we ragged on him pretty hard.
We questioned it, and he did get the goal, but I mean,
still we also not a captain choice,
right? I mean, we also saw Peck, we also saw Cucho, we saw Insigne, Navarro. I mean, those are all players who we also got more points, but he got 8 points, not too shabby right there.
I mean, not bad at all.
I will say, I also had Heel, and he was not involved in any of that 4-goal bonanza that happened there in New England, but still got 8 or 9 points. And that was all from bonus points. And that has been fairly consistent for Heel, that even if you take away some of his goals and assists that he has had in the last few games, only one game is getting a goal really significantly impacted him getting a pretty solid score for a single game week player just based on bonus points.
As you guys know, I'm not a huge data dork. So I would love one of the many data dorks in our community to tell me, not right now, I'll take my answer off air, when the last time New England scored 4 goals and Carlos Heel was not credited with any goal contributions.
Oh, I don't know.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's been, when I saw the game score before I looked at fantasy, and I was like, hell yeah. And then I looked at fantasy and I was like, what?
Okay, I'm a data dork, kind of.
I know. I mean, that question was directed at you, like I said.
All right, well, I'm going to say it online here that he had 3-second assists, which is
So last season it would have been.
Last season it would have been a haul.
Yep. That's a good point, Christian.
A ridiculous stat.
Cucho.
Ridiculous.
Lucho.
Absolutely.
That is a good
stat.
data point, data dork. Thank you.
The only other thought that I'll take away from this is we mentioned both the success of Jovic and Peck, and so that's another one of these brewing battles that we have at fantasy players of who am I going to pick. And Jovic has had shared minutes for so long, or just limited minutes for so long, that it's been easier to go with Peck. But when they're both in that picture, they're both going to have to be someone you debate between. And when Pooch is back, that brings back all of those decisions as well. But that's just one to look at going forward with it. Just the growing quality that many of these teams have that makes some of these players in the shared positions tough to pick from at times with the right match. So
it will get us ready for the Giroud-Bouanga dilemma that is incoming.
Absolutely. Just those things which are going to be so fun. Again,
only if they give points for
Messi, Suarez, Denis, Giroud. I mean, how am I gonna pick?
Not taking Giroud. Not taking Giroud.
Oh, we'll talk about this off air.
That's right. Just write some G-rated articles and we'll get that going. But so that's where we got some takeaways. Some of that definitely does impact what's coming up because we have a massive double game week coming up this round, and we're going to cover that next in our housekeeping section coming up.
You can come here. Someone's
I had to let my pancake doppelganger out. He was scratching the door.
Pancake one.
This one just wants he needs to be cuddled at least once every 20-30 minutes.
seconds.
Yeah.
Think.
You good?
And change
Yeah.
league scores. Get to the social. Post that. And retweet that. Should probably go unpin. Yeah, let me unpin that. Ranch doing the work in the background right now, making sure our injuries and everything are good to go. Thank you, man. Thank you, man.
You want to go out too? Okay.
No, okay. We gotta wait for all the
No
pups
dogs
to get out of here. That's right. That's why I didn't bring my cat. Well, he'd probably actually
We
still
all
be
were
here.
inspired by Pancake, and we tried to bring our dogs, and they all abandoned us.
I told you, I'd rather have that happen than my cat in the background knocking stuff over. So
I do not want your cat in the back. I'd get allergies just looking at him.
he is a jerk. So, all right, let's see here. Okay, so we've got the social out again. Please do share. That helps so much, and we will jump right into our housekeeping. Hello and welcome back to our housekeeping section going into round 18, the double game week. We're going to skip the league recap because of this, which probably means that Ranch did well. But we're going to skip the league recap so we can focus on the double game week and the player picks coming up. So first, this is, again, a double game week. Games are starting on Wednesday, June 19th, so Juneteenth. At 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. No 9:30 games this week. So we have 7:30, 8:30, and 10:30 games that will impact some of the ability to maximize kind of a ruse. Going to make it so a lot of you may have to look at only half of a game before you have to make some of those adjustments right there. So that 9:30 slot's very key. We don't have that this week. Everything else wraps up on Saturday, June 22nd, starting at 7:30 p.m. So who's playing? Everybody is playing. Only 4 teams are on a single. So it's much easier to talk about the teams who are on a single game week this round. That is Miami, who has a single home game on Wednesday. And then on Saturday, with a single away game, we have Chicago, New England, and Vancouver. Vancouver is the last single game week team to play for the round. So if you are looking for some scrubs, are looking for some ability to have some kind of flexibility, you might want to look at Vancouver. But really any of those Saturday teams are going to help you make those moves because you're probably going to get everything set by the end of Wednesday anyway. But yep, check out for those players there. Nobody is on a bye. We do have 3 teams with a double home game. That is my FC Cincinnati, DC United, and St. Louis. And then we have 2 teams on a double away game. And those is Atlanta and New York City FC. And so everybody else is splitting home and away or away and home. So right there, just check those out and see what is happening. We do have info about players. You need to watch the lineups. We had some cards last week. We had several injuries, some of them horrific. It was almost like people were trying to see who would get injured the worst last week. And some players returning from their various call-ups, some of them still out. So it's going to be, again, another round to really pay attention to who is coming, not only in the starting lineup, but who's in the 18. So if you do have some scrubs or just want to know what is going on, check those subs just to make sure you don't have someone who accidentally comes on and ruins what you may be trying to do. So with that being said, I know Tyler worked really hard to do this, and I know Christian's given it a once-over. So Christian, let's just throw it to you to give us all of the player info that's coming up.
All right, first returning players. Joseph Paintsil returned and got on the pitch on Saturday, and actually did okay. He scored some points. Matthias Kokoro and Mason Toy both got on late with Montreal. They didn't do anything, but they both subbed in, so they're both ready to go probably. Probably look for Kokoro to do 60 minutes, I would imagine. Let's see. Pedro de la Vega He was in full training today, according to their beat reporter. And another kind of, this isn't returning. This is a transfer. Georgios. I always want to say Georgios. Yorgos Giacomakis was sold to Cruz Azul. So he is no longer available. Well, he's available for selection, but he's an expensive scrub at this point. Okay, so let's do suspensions, red card suspensions. David Ruiz and Tomas Aviles both got suspended in the same game on Saturday. 2 yellow cards, double yellows. They're both out versus Columbus on Wednesday. Moses Nyman from Minnesota. It's not like you're going to ever pick him, but he got a red card for dog on so he's going to be out Wednesday at Dallas. Mitja Ilenic, sorry, I'm pulling a read, got a straight red card, and he'll be out on Wednesday versus LA Galaxy. All these guys are going to be out Wednesday. I'm not going to keep saying that. George Campbell got his 5th yellow card, so he's out against LA Galaxy, or I'm sorry, against versus New York Red Bulls. Tim Parker is out on yellow card accumulation. He misses the game versus Colorado on Wednesday. Christian Dahome is also out on yellow card accumulation, so he's going to miss Wednesday versus Atlanta. He's one of Benteke's enablers, if you care about that. Let's see. Big name or notable yellow card watch players for the double game week. These are players who you may be Tyler, calm down. These are players who may be suspended after, or get a yellow card in the Wednesday game, and they might not be in for the Saturday game. Probably the most notable one is Christian Benteke. But we have Christian Espinoza, Joseph Paintsel, Thiago Almada. There is a dispute about Chicho Arango being on yellow card warning. MLS website says that he is, and that was updated this week before this last round of games. But the FMLS log says his last one was 7 games ago. So he should have had one taken off, according to fantasy MLS logs, but we don't know. So just, look at lineups for yourself and make your own decision there. Carlos Andres Gomez is on yellow card watch. He's going to be a popular chalk pick this week until I just said that. Another thing to worry about is 3 of the starting RSL defenders are on yellow card warning. Alex Catranis, Amika Anelli, and Brian Vera. A 2 home game player, Thomas Totlin, is on yellow card warning, and Jonathan Osorio is also on yellow card warning. Let's see. Let's do injuries, new injuries. Matt Miazga decided to play chicken with the goalpost, and
rude.
He crushed his leg, I guess. And there was a tweet that said he's going to be out at least this week, probably longer. Interpret that how you will.
You had to get it stitched up at the hospital.
Yeah, I
and
don't
it got
think that.
stretchered. Pat Noonan said it was, quote, not great.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be significant because Cincinnati is also missing Robinson, who is called up. So we're going to get into that later. Celio Pompeo was the other spectacular injury he broke his ankle in like 3 billion places, had surgery today, I think, or yesterday, and he is out for the season. I did not see that one happen, but I hear that it was absolutely gut and heart-wrenching to watch. Joakim Nilsson is out with a knee injury. He came off with a knee injury, so we're not going to like say that these people are out unless I say they're out. Joakim Nilsson has a knee injury. We don't know if he's going to play one or none of the games or both of them. He plays for St. Louis. Further nerfing the St. Louis defense double home play. Alex Roldan and Devin Padelford decided to play Rams and went up and both got massive concussions because they butted heads, and they're at least, I think they're at least out for one game. I think they have to be out for what, 10 days or something. I can't remember what the protocol is. Ricky Pooch, this is disputed. Tyler has quad, but other reports say groin. And Vanny said today that he is probable for this week. And now I don't know what that means. Does that mean he might play one game? He might be on the bench for both? Who knows? I would not count on Ricky Pooch playing 2 games this week. Edwin Mosquera from Atlanta has a hamstring injury. Timo Pukki is still out with a knee injury that he sustained on international duty with Finland. I'm going to quickly go over. That's all I got for injuries for now. I'm going to quickly go over. I had call-ups that I wanted to remind people of because this is always a sticking point for me. The dates are usually nebulous depending upon camps, international team camps, and whatever. But I'm going to read these names as if you should just be on alert for checking lineups. Maybe somebody might be back. Who knows?
But also please reference the fact that this is pinned. Like, this is a pinned list.
Yes, this is a pin list on the Discord in the
There
MLS
shouldn't
chat.
be much that has changed if any of your players are in
Well, there is.
Copa or Euros.
Right, but like for example, Waterman was just called up the other day, like
Sure.
yesterday, I think.
Yeah.
Or today, I can't remember. That's really, and Hebert was called up as well. I'm just going to read USA and can't. Well, all right. For CONCACAF, Sean Johnson, Shaq Moore, Miles Robinson. We knew about them. For Canada, those are the USA players. For Canada, Crepeau, St. Clair, Bombido, Hebert, Larea, Miller. That's Kamal Miller. Waterman, Ahmed, Ali Ahmed. Chanier, Osario. He's in trouble anyway. Piet, Oluwaseyi, which breaks my heart. Jason Russell-Rowe, and Jacob Schaffelberg. For Costa Rica, Cascante, Lassiter, and Alejandro Brand from Minnesota. Jamaica, Andre Blake, Damian Lowe, Bell from Seattle. Panama, Valencia, Annabelle Godoy, Coco Carrasquilla, and Carlos Harvey from Minnesota. Like Lionel Messi, he's gone through the 29th. So these dates are like reaching into July, like either the last day of June or July 1st-ish, some the second, okay? Where they have games on those dates. Carlos Gruezo for Ecuador, Carlos Coronel for Paraguay with Rojas and Cubas, Peru, Galese, Abram, Araujo, Cartagena, Uruguay, Luis Suarez, Christian Oliveira, Venezuela, Jose Martinez from Philadelphia, and Danny Perea. For the Euros, Saba's gone, Gazdag's gone, Schließ is gone, Morgan is gone, Ravas is gone, who cares? Brekalo is gone, and Shaqiri is gone. That's it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, that I got catfished by like the youth teams.
Okay.
Or the MLS Next Pro.
Well, thank you so much
All right,
for
that's
providing
it.
that information, Christian. If you like Christian reading these, let us know. But if you would prefer Tyler to come in and just guest read his list every week,
Listen to it.
just comment below, send us a message on Twitter. That could be really funny. You all are really missing out by not either joining the lives or going and checking out some of the chat that happens during segments like this, because Christian just went off script and Tyler was losing his mind in the chat, being like, "Just read the list. Just do it." So it's been very amusing. Chat in general is very fun. So I do encourage anyone to, if you can, catch a live stream to be able to experience that. So it's a whole lot of fun. But again, thank you so much, both of you, for putting that together and for taking the time to share that with the league. Please do continue to check the MLS official injury sites, warning sites to see what's there. But you could also find this information maybe more accurately over at the MLS Fantasy Boss Discord. Just head over to MLSFantasyBoss.com/Discord. That's the easiest way to get access to all of this information, to all of this fantastic community. And in our main section of threads, oh my god, I just went blank right there. In our main section here, you can scroll down to the Toolbox is what it's called. It used to be Fantasy Resources, but it's called the Toolbox. And right there pinned all sorts of information, including the mega reference, which apparently my mind just completely blanked out on how to use Discord. But don't worry, because you can figure it out. MLSFantasyBoss.com/Discord. Coming up next, we're going to be talking about the players who we are targeting going into double game week round 18. We're going to have the Thunderdome with you guys, apparently, is what's going on. Like, I'd love that. I love that.
No, I feel like I'm an only child, but I feel like I'm in the middle of like big brothers fighting. Except
Hey.
Tyler's younger than me, so maybe I'm the middle child.
Hey, I'm not the aggressor here.
You don't like being fun, Sleeping Iron? Like, you guys don't. You guys are fun. This is so much fun. The whole community's fun. That's how it is. Let's see here. Eat a cracker, make a social media post. Here we go.
Picks. Doing picks.
Yeah, DGW is always funny. I loved Ashley's message to me, where she was like, DGW? And I was like, yup. And she's like, too soon. She was just like, no.
That's how I felt.
Let's see here. Where did that
Oh, Data Dork coming in hot. First player target section.
Where is it? There it is.
How do you come up with these numbers, Christian? Do you find them? Do you make them?
No, these are posted in Discord.
Okay.
You're talking about the clean sheet percentages?
Yeah, your Data Dork
Yeah.
section. Can we just give Christian a section
Yeah.
every time he's on called Data Dork?
Yeah, I would love that. Do you want me to read these or skip them?
No, you can definitely. You put
Okay.
yes.
Ashley loves it. She loves it.
Yeah.
This is why we're here. All right, here we go. Let's see here. Let me get the little text thing changed. Zip. All right, round team player targets. Here we go. Hello and welcome back, as we're going to talk about player targets going into round 18's double game week player targets, I should be saying. So no consensus picks here. We're kind of all over the place in who we're looking at or just teams that we're targeting. So we'll just kick it off with Christian, who has given us a great little summary of how to look at defensive decisions going into this round. So take it away, Christian.
Okay, no warranty is provided or implied by this. Okay, so I was looking over so like a lot of people, I did a first draft and a second draft this morning, and then someone posted, Ron Jossi, I think his name is, on Discord so graciously goes and takes the bookmakers clean sheet probability percentages and 2.5 percentages probabilities, and he posts them in Discord under odds rank stats every week, and I appreciate that because I always look at it. So thank you for that. I thought I'd share some of that on the podcast because there isn't usually such a disparity between those probabilities and what I'm thinking for my defenders and attackers. There usually isn't a gulf of difference, except today that there was. So I thought I'd share. I don't think so. Your first instinct is going to load up on double home defenders, right?
Mhm.
The only problem here is their matchups are meh, and their probabilities are even worse. So Cincinnati is the best shot for a double home. Their probability is 31% for the first game and 43% for the second game, combined for 74%. But they're missing Miles Robinson and Matt Miazga. So I don't know if the bookmakers realized that when they, when they made those probabilities. So buyer beware, caveat emptor. St. Louis, the next best double home team, 25% and 28% for combined 52%. These are terrible. 19th best combined total. Okay. There's 18 other teams that have better chance of clean sheet than St. Louis this week, according to these people. DC United, 24% and 27%, slightly behind St. Louis. Combined, they're 23rd, actually. Charlotte, that'll be the chalk pick for a lot of people, all right? 30% and 18%. 18% against Philly without Carranza or Gazdag. That's 27th best combined at 48%. That floored me. LAFC is the best combined at 79%. They have a whopping, or they start out stupidly low, 29%, but then the second game, whopping 50%. It's really rare that you see a clean sheet probability over 50%, 50% or higher. That's usually a pretty good bet, actually, if they're rating it like that. But caveat emptor again, they're in a rivalry match that second game against San Jose, and San Jose, in my experience, has scored on them, like usually once or twice a game. It's usually never a cakewalk for LAFC against them. New York Red Bulls, 29% and 43%. They're the third best combined at 72%. And one last bullet point is no Wednesday probability is higher than 31%. So that should enter into your calculus of who you're taking and who you're taking, but not only that, who you're putting on your pitch and who you're benching, because there really isn't a great option for the first game. So you're going to want to say, okay, the second game is a good game. Those usually go on my pitch. They might not work out that way. You're going to have some serious decisions to make if you do that, because they're all going to fall under that category, which it kind of lends to confusion. Is I spent an hour going back and forth against 5 or 6 different defenders, and I landed on, for my keeper, I landed on Lloris because he's in form. They have the highest probability so far. And, San Jose's attack is pretty good, but LAFC at home has been pretty dang solid. So I'm just going to go with them because I can't really see a better option. I might switch off of him because, frankly, LAFC slots are going to be at a premium. I don't know if I want to waste it on a goalkeeper, and I'll talk about that later. But anyway, I'm not even going to do a keeperoo. I'm just going to take the book, because most of the Saturday games of the teams that I want to take, they play late. So I'm never gonna, see the 2 games of one keeper or any of that. So I'm just gonna just go with whatever they get. Um, and I don't like any of the late games on Pantemis maybe, but that's a stretch. For defenders, I'm solidly on Aaron Long, but I'm really not solid on anybody else. I'm looking at Wagner, Tolkien, Amundsen, basically defenders who get involved in the attack or take corners or set pieces and have at least one good matchup. Amundsen, I mean, I think Columbus had okay probabilities, but I don't think they've been back long enough, and the sample size is too small. They used to be a good defense before they went off on CCC stuff, and then rotation was killing them. I'm betting that they're going to be solid for this match, at least one of them, for this week, I mean, for at least one of the matches. So that's why Amundsen's in there. Ashley.
I think that this is probably the area I was the most, like, not confused about, but felt like mundane about, if that makes sense. I almost always will switch up at almost every player except for a couple. But when I went to make my defense, I kind of just left everyone there, and that felt wrong to me. I'm going Kalina to no one. And then I also have Melanda starting. So I guess I'm, still going in on Charlotte. And like Christian said, it's going to be a little bit of a chalk. I have Aaron Long and Tolkien as well, hoping for clean sheets, but their bonus point production has been good enough. And then right now, my fourth defender, if I decide to only use one scrub, is actually Jackson Reagan. Going to Houston feels like it could 0-0. And then at home against Dallas as well. I don't follow projected points very well, but his projected scores are quite good. So there's something there indicating, that it might go well. He also picks up a few bonus points. He's not a bonus point machine by any means, but he does well. But he's also one dumb thing away from a red card. So he's definitely the player I believe in the least. Probably my first to double scrub. But I also just don't know how I feel about Kai Wagner. Wagner and Lennon have been kind of a roller coaster for all of us this season. I've leaned towards Wagner most, but I don't love those matchups. I think perhaps the home game is the most likely shutout because Charlotte aren't super great at scoring, especially on the road. But Philly at home has been really bad this season, so I don't know that I like them any much there. You like guys like Wagner and Lennon for the offensive points, but Kai, last week Wagner got a 3. He hasn't been producing quite as much offensively as, we're used to, I suppose. But then you go back a week and without a clean sheet, he got a 9. So it's just hard for me with the two of them because I want to bank on them and I'm just not sure if I can. So I'm going back and forth between Reagan and Wagner and trying to decide if I want, 2 scrubs or not, which will indicate who I keep.
That's fair. A lot of the same mind. I mean, I love looking at those percentages that are there. As far as goalkeepers, I'm not set yet. I agree with Christian about how you decide you want to use LAFC players this week. And I love to pair up defenders and keepers. And with what I'm looking at for my attack, I just don't think that's going to be possible with Lloris. And so unless you're going to just put him on an island, you can go with what you want. Some of the other chances are still really good at least getting one of those clean sheets. Originally, I went with Kalina. and we can see how that is. So I get that. Also have considered Fry for some of the same reasons you were talking about, Ashley. Might look at Columbus. I mean, I know Miami's missing a lot of players right now, especially with the call-ups. And you had mentioned Amundsen for defense, potentially getting paired up with a keeper as well is something that I'm looking at. So I'm still very much in flux, but those are some of the teams I'm looking at there. You could easily just go with one keeper this week. I mean, there's no need to stress over any kind of Aru that you're going on. This is a double game week. All these keepers are going to be getting 2 shots as well. So the way the games are lined up, you're not even really going to get a full game. At best, you're going to get like half a game, and so that's just not really giving your same bite. So you can just save yourself some stress. Just pick one keeper and just roll with it and go with that and then play with everything else. As far as defenders, you guys have named all the teams that just really come to mind: LAFC, Columbus, New York Red Bulls, Charlotte, toying with Seattle. I have concerns with Cincinnati. You can expect to see Kip Keller back there. There's been some good praise with there, trying to just get him, I guess, work on some of his just soccer decision making. I think is how it's been phrased a lot with there. But people are really high on Kip Keller. You can also very likely expect to see Kubo in the back again to help maybe shifting Yedlin over into more of a one of the 3 CB kind of places. But there'll be some players back there with Cincinnati, and of course Celentano's fantastic. But yes, that core. The literal core for us is not going to be there. And so I think any of those stats that you see about defensiveness related to Cincinnati, definitely up in the air. I mean, other than that, it's just going to be a toss-up. I think you could look at some of the St. Louis players if you wanted to try to go with doubling up there. Even with that double home, Colorado's kind of a mixed bag of what you're going to get out of them, but I definitely don't have a lot of faith in Montreal with scoring. Though it seems like they're either getting 4 or 0. That's kind of how it comes down with Montreal lately. But I'm not sure about their ability to get a lot of goals, which is why Red Bulls are pretty high on that list as well. Though I have oddly enough more worries about the second game for Red Bulls when they're at home hosting Toronto with some of the form that Insigne's been on. That I could see something coming through right there. But nothing much to add. I think you guys are in a lot of the right place here. Going to chat, a lot of the same names popping up as well. I see some Columbus, LAFC, maybe Keeperoos going on there, looking for 45 minutes for a clean sheet. That's a lot of what we're looking at there with that. So not there. And I agree with you, Ashley. I'm feeling really burnt on Lennon, which is why I had him on my team early last week and just dropped him. I was like, no, I don't agree with this. Wish I had done the same thing with Almada. But I kept Wagner on there, and I'm just not feeling like the production is there at all with those 2 guys. And so I'm really looking at just making myself break away from some of these habits that I feel like I've gotten into with who I'm picking, and I just haven't been happy with the results right there. So excellent. A lot of options. Let us know who you're thinking in chat. Let us know who you're thinking on Twitter, and we'll see how it goes. Remember, if you're going a different way, like if you're doing a triple stack with Charlotte and it pays out, one of the cardinal rules of this show is if you are all about it and speak to it and stick with it, you get to brag about it at the end. Like you earn it. You absolutely earn it, just like Pancake and his Jesus pick. So that is how we live right here. But let's move on to midfielders. Ashley, who do you like?
This was a little better, but also my midfield this last week was absolute garbage. So who am I fooling? Lucha was first on my team, for a couple different reasons, matchups, double home, all that. Evander was second in my team. I'm not as stoked on his matchups, but I'm stoked on Evander. Then it got a little iffy. I want Bogusz, I think, but it's been a little hard with LAFC midfield. I tend to just pick the wrong person. So I don't know if that's where I'll spend, kind of like Christian was saying, is that where I want to spend my third LAFC player? I think that's where I want to spend it, but I'm not incredibly sold on him. And then the rest of my midfield is just kind of not fully falling together for me. I'm worried about both SB and Gomez for the yellow card watch. So if I pick up one of them, I feel like it should be a bench play. I kind of like Mukhtar, but I feel like he is also falling into the trap of just kind of habit. I've taken him a lot less this year, but still. Um, and then I, you know, I like Lovin traditionally, but with everything he's been through this season, he hasn't played enough, and that team doesn't look as good as they did last year. And so I'm just not sure if he's someone I like. And then this, I like enough to put in my team. I like him. This is going to sound like a crazy one because it's double road. We don't traditionally, even consider that. But Santi Rodriguez has just been producing points. A whole man away, but definitely home. And so he's someone that I'm considering. I am worried about Puig and Forsberg's for the injury reasons, and would they go both? Nothing pisses me off more in a double game week than having someone on the Wednesday game who sits on the weekend. Like, I don't know why even if they score well, it just pisses me off. So I am just trying to avoid that, even though both of those players are excellent players. And if, there's like a full green light, I think, both Puig and Forsberg are definitely worth having. I'm just worried about how healthy they are.
Christian.
I am on Lucho as well and Evander as well. Both bonus point players. And like you, Ashley, that's where it kind of gets a little bit fuzzy.
Yeah.
I was talking to Mukhtar this morning. I looked at it and I thought, yeah, viable. He's on my bench currently. We'll see what happens. I just switched out Lloris after I said what I said about the slots, LAFC slots. And I stuck Bogusz on my bench. Of course, if Puig miraculously recovers and starts on Wednesday,
Yep.
He will be in my team. Otherwise, right now, I have Espinoza sitting there on yellow card watch, but he's sitting there as a scrubbable option,
Sure.
in case all my bench hits. Some fallback, from some secondary ones, I agree with Forsberg. He's streaky. I really like him as a player. For fantasy, though, I don't know if he's consistent enough for me to really bank on unless the matchups are absolutely wonderful. Away to Montreal.
And then home against Toronto, they're not wonderful matches,
Well, they're not wonderful, but look who played Montreal on Saturday?
I don't know. I told you I
remember?
was busy.
Yeah, because they looked a lot better than I thought they would.
Yeah.
The Montreal side did.
Montreal at home has looked better.
Yeah, so that's why I'm kind of hesitating there on Forsberg. Because Montreal does have the ability to actually, bring it. So Leuven, I just don't like Leuven this week. He works his butt off. Like, he was really playing hard on Saturday, and I just don't. It isn't that I don't like Leuven himself. It's that I don't like the players around him, and now he's missing Pompeu, one of his enablers. Like, he's
one of his.
Well, think about it. Like,
yeah.
Pompeu shoots the ball, and
For sure.
Leuven's going to pass it to him. Well, now he's going to have to pass to whoever, Vasilov maybe. And I just think that I don't know. I just think that he's probably limited in options. I don't really like him this week. I don't like St. Louis actually at all. I think they've regressed massively this season. So they're not. I don't even like them on defense, to be honest. The other one that I'm interested in is Gomez until I did the research today and realized he was on yellow card warning. If you take Gomez, that's Andres Gomez from RSL. If you take him, make sure he's on your bench. He's a good pick. Just he's probably going to score, but he probably gets one game if we're realistic.
Sure.
That's pretty much it for me and midfielders. I mean, I looked at a whole bunch of them, and I'm not really jazzed about any of them.
No, that's fair. I don't have anything to add right there. Again, yeah, Lucho, Vander, first two on there. Pooch on watch. I was higher on Lovett until you were talking about that. I liked him because he was shooting too. The last couple of games he's been in there, he's been generating a lot of shots himself. And so that was something that I liked for him, but it was as a bench play. Bogusz I had over him just because of the massive form he's been on. And that's something I would say to your comment, Ashley, is just, I mean, Bogusz has been... it's been hard to pick a midfielder at times with LAFC, but he has made that easier when you just look at his last 6 games, scored an assist in all of them. And so I just feel that he'll probably come up with a blank now because I'm saying this, but he's just been playing 80 solid minutes in each of these games, plus 80 plus minutes, and has been producing. So I like this shot.
No matter where he lines up.
Correct. And so, I mean, he was an easy spot to kind of slot in there as like the third guy on the field with me looking at really a lot of benching midfielders this week. A couple of names in there, of course. Gomez, Espinoza, Forsberg. I was unsure more about Forsberg. I mean, I could see him maybe getting into my 5th spot right there. But yeah, Gomez, Espinoza, I had worries about the card warning there as well. I mean, going through there, some of the other common picks that we look at, I mean, we talked about how we're just not high on Almada right now with this game. You mentioned Mukhtar, a lot of options missing at Philadelphia. Haven't had a lot of consistency from a lot of these other teams for who we'd want to go back to. I mean, that's what we can say for Austin, for Dallas, I mean, I've seen Hector Herrera on some teams, and so
yeah, I thought about him.
Maybe you can make an argument for him, but I'm not sure he cracks the top 5 for me. Some people might try to talk about some of the Seattle options. I just don't feel like those are great this week as well. Colorado, yeah. The going back to it now, Bassett versus Mihailovic, going up against St. Louis on the road. Not awful. St. Louis has not been, even though they've looked great sometimes with defensive actions that they've taken, they've just not been able to have those consistent clean sheets this year. And then Colorado at home against Montreal, which, like I said, Montreal's like they score 4, they score 0. A winnable game. I could see people making an argument for a Colorado midfielder as a 5th player.
For sure.
100% has to be the bench, though. I mean, that's 100% of what you're looking at there. So not far out there at all. So and then I love the Santi shout out as well. I do think that he's got some quality right there that even with being on a double road, he's a guy that I'd have comfort. Again, probably not starting. I'm looking at running 2 midfielders on my bench this week, actually, just to see how the Arus work out, and then going from there. But I'd have like the production that Sandy's had as well. Checking chat real quick. Yeah, seeing a lot of the same names there. So I think really the only chalk we're having is Lucho and Evander. I mean, after that, I think there is a lot of these players we've thrown out there, there is the ability for you to kind of customize the team to how you're seeing it with the stats. But I mean, I do feel like, Lucho, Evander are going to be super chalk during this round.
Yep.
What may be the chalkiest of chalk, though, let's talk about forwards. Christian.
Well, yeah, I think you just have to go with these 3 guys. I briefly thought about a 4th, but Cucho, Hernandez, man, up against a Miami that's missing all of their defenders almost, and then up against SKC that couldn't stop a beach ball. I've got Buanga against Austin, away at Austin. and against at home against San Jose. Okay, I should say this at this point. There's a hurricane coming, and it's going to be like swamping over Austin, like this by Wednesday. And so this game might be canceled. Okay, just know that right off the bat. Like all of our LAFC joy right now is going to get crushed. Because yeah. So if that happens, I'm really. Oh, well, let me just tell you, Chicho Arango is my third guy. He's up against SKC, Sporting Kansas City as well, and LA Galaxy. Both defenses are just ugh. Anyway. But if Bouanga's, like if LAFC and Austin gets canceled, I'm really seriously. I had Bernadeschi on my bench for a while today.
Okay.
And I also had Benteke. Now, Benteke, holy cow! Like he is the biggest troll in MLS since.
Yeah.
I
don't even want his hat tricks anymore. Like, because whenever I get like,
yeah, you have a very fine hat trick, sir. That's how I react.
Agree.
It's like, like I give a shit. So, yeah, it's just so unpredictable. But 2 home games. Who's he playing against? He's playing against, let's see here, Atlanta, who's missing a lot of defenders and their spine is just depleted. I think Atlanta's just porous as hell right now. And they're also playing Houston. Now, Houston could give them a run. So I don't know. Like, Houston away hasn't been great, but they haven't been bad either. So I don't know. It depends, But
yeah,
I think Benteke, I mean, like the last couple of I think he's like the king of scoring like 21 points in one game and then one in the next one. Like
for sure.
Like he's a single game game week player anyway. So I don't know.
Yeah, I like him as a shout, but I also went Cucho, Bouanga, Chicho. I thought about Klaus, considered Klaus. I'm a big Klaus fan, but this season he hasn't done a lot to make me want him.
Yeah.
Awful. He's fun to watch. I don't know if you watch any of his. He feels like he's on the brink of producing in fantasy, and he just hasn't. But I like Benteke, and if you're worried about Chicho or you don't want to bench a striker because Chicho's one who I could very much see getting a yellow card. I think Benteke is a great fallback shout. I agree with Christian. He's plagued me more than I've found joy in him. But chat saying here, last double game week Benteke got 16 points, and I very much agree with the state of Atlanta. So I think he's definitely worth considering for that third spot. But right now he's not in mine.
Yeah, I have the same 3 that I'm looking at immediately. I mean, the weather is a concern. Benteke is an easy one, I think, to go to. Number 3 overall for forwards scoring, the top 2 being Miami players right there. And I know you mentioned Bernadeschi, Christian, but I think Insigne is also one that you could
for sure
look at that as a forward option. Both of the LA Galaxy forwards, I think, are in the mix if you're looking at some other people to take a look at. I mean, LAFC, RSL, I think are some potential to has potential for them to get goals right there. After that, I do think it takes a big dip. When we're looking at all the players here, everybody else is just so much more situational, so less consistent in how they're going, or just the games just aren't that appealing. Yeah. I think, from my mind. But the 3 players we mentioned, and then that list of players that we just rattled off, I think you've got a fair list there. But I expect a lot of the chalk to be Cucho, Bouanga, and Arango. So Cucho, Chicho. That's a tongue twister right there.
Mm-hmm.
Cucho, Chicho.
I wanted to say something about Chicho Arango, though. And I learned this lesson just on Saturday about Chicho. I wasn't aware of this at all until someone pointed it out to me because I was complaining because I ended up capping him, right?
Right.
So, 6 points without a goal involvement, spectacular for a forward. Okay. But when you cap them, it's kind of a letdown. So I was just kind of complaining there for a minute. And somebody was gracious enough to tell me that, well, Chicho lined up at the 10 position in that game against Montreal. And when he does that, he doesn't get goal involvements. I just took him at his word. Why would he say that if it wasn't, I didn't go back and check, but I'm willing to believe that because, well, hell, he didn't get any goal involvements and he did in fact line up at the 10 position.
Yep.
So I don't see, that's one reason to maybe like fade Chicho or maybe like put him down a little bit on your priority list.
Sure.
Like he is definitely right now my third forward. And there's a host of other reasons too, like the timing of it. He's a 7:30 game or 8:30 Eastern, whatever. And
That's right.
I personally, if I bench a player, I want an early player. So I don't know. Just something to consider because there are other options out there. Like Navarro is one of them. George said it in chat just now.
You could go crazy with a Kelsey.
You could, and I was going to bring that up too. Like Kevin Kelsey probably is going to score a goal at least this week. Anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up about Chicho because I didn't know that. Usually my eye test, like when I watch games, it's weird because like he's like taking shots and like the Montreal defenders were doing like spectacular things to stop him. Like sticking a left big toe in there, like barely enough to deflect the ball off into the side netting instead of right, like it was just ridiculous. I was just like going, the whole time.
So I will add at this point that the FC Cincinnati game starts at 7:45. So there is a slim chance with the RSL game starting at 8:30 that you might get a chance to see the 8:30 lineups for those games if you want to dabble with a Kelsey switch right there. So if you might, if the lineups come out on time, you might around 7:30 see the the Sporting Kansas City RSL lineup. And if you don't like where Chicho's at, you could pivot to a Kelsey if you wanted to do that. That might be a little bit too much micromanagement for some people. That might be a little bit too unpredictable because, it is Sporting Kansas City. So might be some good opportunities there for them. But just technically, looking at the timing, that might be an auto-roo that could work for someone, or just a switcheroo right there that you like. So throwing it out there, fam. So, all right. Well, thank you for that. Let's wrap up with our captain targets. Also fairly chalky. Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God! If you don't cap Lucho, I don't know what you're doing.
Ashley, anything to add?
Oh, I know what I'm doing, so I am also captain in Lucho.
Yeah. So this is another round where I'm going to say who's your second captain pick. Like Acosta, I think is just running away with it. Double home game going up against a very weak Philadelphia Union, where so many people have been ragging against as of late, and then going up against another considerably weak team, which we've seen, even with a bit of a blip in some production, still been giving up goals, New England Revolution. So Lucho is very much the number one pick. But who, if for some reason it's not Lucho, who's your number
mine.
two?
You know mine.
Denny Bouanga. Yeah.
Denny Bouanga. Yeah.
Even
course,
with the
and it's
potential
obvious.
swap.
Well, no. Listen, if that game goes away, there's no way I'm capping Bouanga.
Yeah.
Like if that game gets canceled.
Yeah. I'm not capping a single game with Bouanga,
Yeah,
but
no,
I'll fall back.
I'd
captain
sooner
him
take Gald on
a
the last
single
game. Yeah.
like at or at Portland.
Yeah.
Does Cucho not jump up there as an option? Away to a pretty weak Miami and then home to an ever weak Sporting Kansas City?
Yeah.
Absolutely he is.
Sure.
And those are probably 1, 2, 3.
All three of those forwards are capable. I mean, like if
Yeah, I
you
agree.
decide to cap a forward, all three of those players are very.
Except Lucho's a midfielder, but
Well, no,
He
in
means the
addition
3
to Lucho.
strikers.
sorry.
Three strikers
Sorry,
are
that was
fine.
before. Sorry. Yeah, fair.
Not Kelsey. Kelsey's trash. Don't
Garbage.
Not trash, but definitely not a top captain contender.
No, he's not a top captain pick.
So there we go. Ashley, per chat, your backup captain is Giroux. So that's
By
what's
default.
going to
I
happen.
would do it. I would do it.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. I hope all these tips have been helpful for you in getting ready for the double game week, which, again, starts Wednesday. So be sure to have your teams ready to go by then. We're happy to be able to help get you ready for the best part of MLS Fantasy. Let's be honest. These double game weeks are absolutely crazy. But let's wrap up everything tonight with our plugs. Christian.
The MLS Fantasy Boss Discord server is
Ashley.
my plug.
I'm going to be a real cheeseball because this is the place for that. We're always so emotional here. I am going to shout out Christian because I had a very, very, very shitty day today. And I always make a point to at least commit 40 minutes to an hour a day to prepping for this podcast. I put more time into my team, but at least to prepping for the podcast. And I messaged in our thread and asked Christian if he could help me out, and he did, and I really, really appreciated that. And that's just an example of, how kind this community is to people that they've, never even met. We just like to talk about this shit and complain and brag and hang out together. And so I really appreciated that. And so Christian is my shout out today.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, good job, everybody.
Anytime.
Yeah, I echo everything. MLS Fantasy Boss Discord is an amazing place to be. MLSFantasyBoss.com, where we have the articles coming out with Team Ranchinators Differentials article, and then the Discord player poll, which Christian helps collect through the week as he posts the voting thread, and then I pester people throughout the week to get them to come in and participate there for sure. Gonna give a special belated shout out to host emeritus Mike Dat Tiger, who just welcomed a new addition to their family recently. So big congrats to Mike. So happy to be able to share that. But yes, great for him. MLSFantasyBoss.com, MLS Fantasy Boss Discord, the best fantasy community that you can even begin to think to be a part of. So come over, check it out. We will be so happy to have you. But until then, as always, good luck. In stream. And
Recording stopped.